to the Post-Purchase Pro podcast.
This is the only podcast that dives deep into post-purchase marketing to help Amazon sellers increase sales, ranking, reviews, and profits. It's everything that happens after the initial sale that makes a difference. We call this the back end.
And welcome back again to the Post-Purchase Pro podcast. I am so excited to be back in the saddle. Took a little hiatus, and we've had a few other co-hosts kind of covering the show for a little bit, but I am so excited today for a very special guest. We have Mr. Nathan Hirsch, which is an amazing guest. I'm so excited to dig into his background. He's done tons of things. He's an entrepreneur that speaks to my heart because as I read through his bio one more time, he has done so many cool things. So Nathan, welcome to the show. So as I introduce you here, Nathan, you've been a lifelong entrepreneur. You've done a ton of stuff in the e-commerce space and beyond, right? You've had exits and you've built things with partners and honestly, Nathan, you've done a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm so excited to dig in. So welcome to the Post-Purchase Podcast.
Yeah, Seth, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So Nathan, let's start at the beginning because that's a great place to start. So, man, tell me about 2015. That looks like the beginning of it all for you as an entrepreneur. What happened then, and what did you guys build that turned out so amazing?
Yeah, it actually started in 2009. I had to be one of the first 1,000 Amazon sellers selling products that weren't books. I was in college buying and selling textbooks, making some money on the side. And I got a cease and desist letter from my college telling me to knock it off and stop competing with the bookstore. And that led me down a path. I had this Amazon account. I wanted to try to sell something that wasn't books. And through a lot of trial and error, I came across baby products. And if you think about it logically, baby products just have a huge market. I mean, I just had a kid, so all the stuff that I was selling 10 years ago, I'm now buying now, which is kind of funny. They're easy to ship, easy to return, good margins. And I built this booming drop shipping baby product business. And back then, all these different manufacturers, all these people actually producing baby products, they didn't know anything about e-commerce. So my sales pitch to them was, hey, I'll get you an additional sales channel. You keep my credit card on file. You ship it where I tell you to. I'll handle the sales. I'll handle the customer service. And I built a great relationship with hundreds of manufacturers selling 25 million from 2008 to 2015 and doing it with virtual assistants. I mean, I started off hiring college kids and they were super unreliable. I was too scared to hire a real adult. I was 20 at the time, so I didn't think an adult wanted to work for me. So I started hiring VAs out of necessity. And then once all the courses came out and everyone wanted to become an Amazon seller and all those manufacturers didn't really need me, I flipped it around and started offering these VAs and freelancers to those Amazon sellers. And that became the Free Up Marketplace, which was our first B2B business, which was a lot of fun. We got to build our own website and learn marketing and partnerships and just all the stuff that goes with B2B instead of being reliant on Amazon. And we ended up growing that business to $12 million a year before exiting it in 2019.
Yeah, so that's an amazing story. So Nathan, you were very early into the Amazon selling opportunity, and then you recognized what it was early on, and then you transitioned to, hey, maybe there's a bigger opportunity here to take what I'm learning in that business and then expand that. So walk me through what Free Up actually did, because that's really interesting to me. So when you say 12 million in annual revenue, like what did that look like? How are you guys actually creating transactions with your clients?
Yeah, so Free Up was a great business model. We really looked at the Upworks and the Fivers of the world, which we were using to hire VAs, and we figured out how much money they were really making off of us every single year from our 20-30 virtual assistants. So our whole pitch was, hey, we're going to pre-vet people before we even let them onto our platform. Only the best of the best, 1 out of every 100 get on our platform. That it started off just e-commerce people. We eventually by year 3 or 4 expanded into marketing and other stuff, but people could go to the marketplace, create a free account, put in a request saying, hey, I need a graphic designer, I need a PPC expert, I need an Amazon lister. We would match them up within a day. We already interviewed them, so you could get them started same day. And then all the billing was through our platform. the other beauty of it is we weren't actually managing these people. We weren't an agency. We were a marketplace. So if anything went wrong, we had great customer service. We'd cover replacement costs. We made sure customers and freelancers were happy. But the VAs and the freelancers weren't reporting to us. We weren't managing projects. We weren't attending meetings with clients. So that made us very scalable. And freelancers could set their own rates, and all the billing was through the platform. So again, very cash flow positive. We would charge all the clients up front. There would be a delay before we pay the freelancers and take our cut. And that ended up being a very lucrative business model.
Yeah, that's amazing. So the question I have for you is, why did you sell it, Nathan?
Yeah, it's a good question. At the time, we didn't need to sell it. I think that always makes it a good time to sell it. I mean, the business was extremely profitable. We loved our team, very cash flow positive, no debt. But this was early 2019 when we were approached by the buyers, pre-COVID. And at the time, the economy was at an all-time high. And we kind of looked at it like, hey, this might be a good time to sell. We had grown this to $12 million a year. A lot of changes would have had to happen to get it to 25 or 20 or $50 million a year. And we didn't know if those changes would be good or bad. Whenever you start drastically changing a business, it can go well or it could not go well. And with our Amazon business, we kind of saw, I mean, we sold 25 million, but we maxed out about 5 or 6. And at the beginning, we thought we were going to take down Amazon and be the next e-commerce giant. And we slowly realized that competition slowly comes into the market. Things get harder. Amazon changes the rules. So we kind of had a sour taste in our mouth from the Amazon business and said, hey, we should probably sell this thing while we're in a good position. Obviously, the offer mattered, and the people we sold it to were great, and all the kind of what it allows you to do when you sell a business. Where I can start businesses now with no pressure, with just trying to do things and see if they work, and it kind of opens up opportunities for us to do other things and change our lives. So a lot of things kind of went through our head, and we just made the best decision possible with the information that we had.
I love it, Nathan. So that's a great reason to sell. And I love that you were jaded from the Amazon experience. We've all been there where we have something amazing on Amazon, and then all of a sudden, things can change really rapidly. So that's really cool. So tell me about, not only did you do free up, but you did outsource school, you did e-commerce, EcomBalance, you did Trio SEO. So tell me about like what it is in you, Nathan, that just keeps pumping out these businesses. And before the call, you said we just do the boring stuff, but boring is really what is profitable a lot of times. So walk me through this.
Yeah, so with FreeUp for 4 years, it was 24/7 FreeUp. That's all we thought about. We ate it, we slept it, we breathed it, and we didn't have any ideas for any other businesses because all we were focused on was FreeUp. Now, when you sell a business, you kind of go through this phase like, what am I up to? What am I doing next? Where do I invest my time? The original plan was actually to take a year off, but COVID hit shortly after. So then I was in an even weirder position, not to complain at all because I'm super fortunate, but I was stuck at home with no business to run, with no business ideas, watching Netflix like everyone else, and I couldn't travel. All my plans were canceled. So we started brainstorming businesses well before we originally thought we would. And the lowest hanging fruit was, let's teach people our hiring process. And that became Outsource School, how we interview, how we onboard, how we train people, how we run meetings, and all of our SOPs. So that was a low-hanging fruit. We set that up. That's been running for years. We've got thousands of members and people that take our hiring process and just plug it in their business to save them time and hassle making bad hires. And from there, we said, okay, people hopefully trust us. Hopefully we've built up a reputation. How can we use that to spin up other B2B businesses without actually operating 5, 10 different businesses? Because then you just run out of time and it becomes too stressful. So we started to figure out, hey, if we can hire that operator from day one in an industry that has a big market that applies to lots of different businesses, that's a good place to be in because we can use our personal brand. If anyone follows Connor Gillivan or myself on social media, we're constantly putting out content and hopefully building trust. And then we've got Outsource School, which teaches people how to hire. We have a bookkeeping business, EcomBalance, that does monthly bookkeeping for e-commerce sellers. We have Trio SEO, which is an SEO business where we crush your blog and take over your blog. And that applies to every business out there. If you're running a business, you have to hire, you have to do bookkeeping, you have to do SEO. If you're not doing those things, you're doing it wrong. So we don't need to get 75% of the market. We can get 0.001% of the market and build a really good business and have a controller who's a 30-year bookkeeper. Obviously, I'm not a bookkeeper, neither is my business partner. We can hire our controller, Steven, who runs our SEO, and we can be out of the operations. We can strategize and make sure the customers are taken care of and make sure it's an experience that we can back, but use our personal brands to drive people to those businesses, and even have people that use all three of our companies because they need all three things.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that brings me to a really interesting point that you make is you're using your personal brand to drive business to all of your businesses, which is really cool. So if you don't mind, Nathan, just out of pure curiosity, like what is your content strategy? And then how do you take somebody from following Nathan to, hey, let's engage them in a business way?
Yeah, so we have an organic marketing blueprint that we use for all of our businesses. If you go to outsourceschool.com/organic marketing, you can grab it. And it's a combination of putting out content on social media. And we try to put out content that's really high value. We have a lot of free resources. We try to give a lot away, whether it's our monthly finance agenda that we run every week. If you go to EcomBalance.com/agenda, or our hiring packet at Outsource School, or our SEO SOPs, we just have a lot of free resources that we're constantly putting out there. Next is partnerships like you guys. We're always looking for other people in the space that aren't necessarily competitors, but have the same target audience, that have the same values and beliefs and treat people well. And we try to do a lot of different content with them. Podcast is a big thing. I'm on a podcast right now, good for SEO, good for networking, stuff like that. Influencers in different spaces, people that have a Facebook group, that have an email list. That's been a big part of it too. And there's a few other things, and they kind of go together, right? Like I could go on a podcast and that person can become a partner. I could put out some content and that leads to me getting an influencer. So we're constantly pumping out these things. It's all run by virtual assistants because that's how we run businesses and we practice what we preach. But it's that consistency where we're constantly going on podcasts. We're constantly reaching out to partners. We're constantly putting out content on every single social media channel every single day and trying to improve it over time. If you look at my videos from 2 years ago or my content from 2 years ago, hopefully you've seen an improvement as we go. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, so I have seen some of your content, Nathan, and it is really good. I was just curious, like, how do you, so I know that you put out amazing content, and it seems like it spans a wide variety of topics because you guys have a lot of experience and you're doing a lot of things. How do you take somebody from, or are you even getting clients from your personal brand, or are you getting more of these partnership opportunities, which then brings you clients?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, we get clients. I think it's a thing where we try to drop a lot of value, and here and there we'll open up spots. Like Trio SEO is now booked up until April. We're recording this in January. So as we open up spots, we'll make mentions of it in our comments and use that to, or in our content, and use that to land clients. We're constantly giving out our free resources which adds people to our email list, and our email list and our newsletters that go out each week, that turns people into clients. Making people aware of our website gets people to our website and booking calls, and that leads to clients. And it's very similar on the partner side. So we're much more interested in the long game. We want long-term relationships, long-term clients. If you're not ready to sign up with us, we don't want your money. If we don't think that we can crush your SEO, we're going to turn you down and be upfront and honest. We only want to work with people where you're happy, we're happy, our team's happy, and it's a long-term win-win.
Well, Nathan, you definitely have a lot of experience and a lot of stuff that we can talk about today, and that's why I'm so excited. But let's think about who's listening right now, and it's probably going to be somebody in e-commerce. It's probably going to be somebody who has built most of their business using Amazon. Maybe they have a brand on Amazon or several, and they're doing reasonably well. Like when they get to thinking about post-purchase marketing, they're probably well along in their journey. So they have probably a pretty decent business, and they're looking for growth or maybe scalability or outsourcing some of the components of their business. So out of everything that you're doing right now, what would be the thing that you would say, maybe we can dive into when it comes from like an Amazon seller perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of past the aggregator stage, right, in the e-commerce industry. And I think for a while, everyone was like, how do I sell this business? How do I sell this business? And you kind of get away from how do I build a good long-term business that's good whether I sell it or whether I don't sell it. And if the opportunity comes up down the line to sell it, great, you can take advantage of that opportunity. And the market will change. I never predict the market, but just because people aren't buying as many businesses now doesn't mean in 2 years or 3 years that won't be the case. So getting back to the basics, which starts with understanding your numbers, making sure that every single month you're getting an accurate income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, making sure that you're going through that on a monthly finance meeting every single month with your business partners, looking at your margins, comparing this month to last month, this month to the same month last year, and making decisions based on what the numbers are actually telling you, not just based off gut or instinct or what some guru told you in a Facebook group, but based on the actual numbers of your business. That's like the most boring thing anyone's ever heard, but it stands true in any business that you run, and e-commerce is no different. If anything, it's more important in e-commerce because you just have so many factors, from changing prices to Amazon fees to whatever it is. So that's a big part of it. And then in terms of setting up your business to be sellable, hiring that good initial team, that team that from the early years you can grow with them and turn them into leaders and have them take courses and learn Amazon and become better and better over time. That's what adds value. That is what makes you scalable. It allows you to focus on launching new products and the bigger picture strategy, instead of being stuck in the weeds of adjusting to every Amazon change or stuff going out of stock or customer service, whatever it is. So to me, it always goes back to the boring. How do I build that great team that can run the business without me and get me out of operations so I can focus on the big picture? And how do I get my numbers and my monthly bookkeeping process so in tune that I'm making good decisions every single month based on what the numbers are telling me?
So many things to unpack here, Nathan. So I just want to know, as a starting point, first of all, I think we need to answer the question, since you have so much experience, of like, how do we hire somebody great online, maybe a VA? But first, what's really cool about your structure that you've built now is that you and Connor, it seems, are sitting kind of above the operator, and you're more almost like the president instead of the CEO or the managing director, right? So like you're sitting above, maybe guiding, and I would love to know what that looks like from a practical perspective for you. Like, what are you doing with the operator? Are you having them bring you weekly reports that you are evaluating KPIs and giving them guidance, or how do you actually operate these businesses with these different operators?
Yeah, so let's start before we even hire them. It's almost like you're dating. Steven, for our SEO business, for example, we met him on LinkedIn and we were doing walks and talks. We were just chatting with him. We were learning about his life, his family, his values, obviously his SEO background, but what does this guy want? What does he believe in? Because he could be the best SEO expert in the world, but if he's trying to not grow an SEO business or go off and do something different, or things aren't in line, that's just going to blow up on us down the line. So we want to be really careful before we get into business with someone. There's a lot of dating and stuff that goes involved with that. And then it's almost like a test task, is building the structure of the business. Is this guy organized? Can he build out SOPs and the infrastructure and the actual offer and make sure that goes well before we launch it? And if it doesn't, we don't actually take it to market. And then it becomes, can he take care of our original clients, our beta clients that we're hooking up, and actually deliver on everything that we're saying? And from there, it's setting up a process of how can we support him? Once you get in as an operator, it can be really overwhelming. You got in for the SEO situation, you got to hire writers, you got to hire people to do uploading of articles, you got to hire proofreaders, and you can't do it all. So, hey, what hires do we need to make? And we're the hiring experts, so we need to assist during that process to get him the support that he needs to do that. We're also bringing everything from billing to setting up affiliate programs, things that we've repeated time and time again with other businesses, putting those into place so that he can stay focused on what he's doing in terms of the fulfillment. And then it turns into those weekly meetings where we're going through problems. What issues is he having? Is it someone on the team? Is it we added a client that wasn't an ideal client? We need to adjust something there. And so we're meeting with them every single week, and also teaching them how to review the finances, how to go through the monthly report, how to look for either discrepancies, software we don't need anymore. We run our businesses very frugally, just like we run our lives. So if we're paying for something just to pay for something, we want to cut that, and we want to eventually teach him to do that and recognize that. And we want him as focused and as motivated with the margin and the profit and the things that actually matter in business, not the vanity metrics, as we are. So that's a big part of it as well. So yes, we're getting weekly reports, we're having weekly meetings, but it's really helping him tackle what he might not be good at so that he can focus on what he's really good at and what the stuff that we don't want to do.
Yeah, that's really cool. And one of the things that you touched on, you didn't say it explicitly, but it's baked in there, which is incentives. So how do you incentivize an operator to care about the metrics that you care about? And I'm sure that you have some type of comp program that does that, right? You're not just paying a base and hoping that he does his job. You're probably incentivizing him to get the results that you're after, right?
Absolutely. I mean, our long-term goal is to have partners in these different businesses. So Connor and I have our holding company. We're 50-50 partners. And then we have these different LLCs that are all their own business, Outsource School, EcomBalance, True SEO. And our goal is to make people a partner in that business, a minority partner, but a partner nonetheless. But just like dating, how you wouldn't marry someone you just met, they have to earn that. They have to show that they actually have an entrepreneur mentality. And that's what we look for. So the incentives start off as bonuses based on performance and eventually turn into some kind of profit share where they're the owner once they prove themselves. And it's really important in business to have your values just in line. So many companies, the employee might make more money based on something that doesn't actually help the business. With us, it's very cut and dry. If the business makes more money, you make more money. So the incentives are very much in line. If we're losing clients, that hurts you. If we're saving money by cutting software, that helps you. So everything is very in line. And if it's not in line, we recognize that and try to make tweaks so that we're all going in the same direction for the same purpose.
I love it. So Nathan, you mentioned, I think it was a URL on EcomBalance where you had like a giveaway where it's like your financial review. And you being in that business, it's really interesting. Like, what is it that you're reviewing, and then how can people get that?
Yeah, so it's ecombalance.com/agenda. And if you ever want to see a sample report of what our clients get every month, it's just ecombalance.com/report. To kind of go back, when I first started selling on Amazon, I had no idea what I was doing when it came to bookkeeping. I tried doing bookkeeping myself, which was a disaster, wasted a ton of my time. And then I just had to pay someone to redo it at the end of the year anyway. Then I tried hiring college kids. Sorry, someone called my computer. Then I tried hiring college kids, and that was equally a disaster. They weren't bookkeepers. Then I tried dumping it on my CPA at the end of the year, and that just cost a lot of money, and I couldn't make decisions because I didn't have my books. Then I tried hiring a bookkeeper quarterly, and that wasn't great because by the time I got the data, it was too late to make any decisions. And then finally, I hired a monthly bookkeeper and had a good monthly process that I could make decisions on. Fast forward to free up, from day one, I said, hey, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Let's hire a bookkeeper from day one. And that ended up being one of the best decisions we ever made. Not only were we able to sell the business because we had 4 years of immaculate books going back to day one, but more importantly, every single month we would get a report, and we had a monthly finance meeting on the calendar that we wouldn't miss for any reason. And during this meeting, and this is what's in the agenda, just a few of the things, comparing this month to last month, comparing this month to last year, looking at margins and trends, going through expenses, seeing what we can pay yearly, seeing what we can cancel, all the things you should be doing every single month before you decide, hey, let's hire more people, let's increase PPC, whatever it is. So it's the same meeting that Connor and I have been running for all our businesses for the past 6+ years. And go to ecombalance.com/agenda to grab it.
I love it. And then, so one of the things that is not so funny, but it happens all the time, is I'll meet with the seller and they think that they're doing really, really well. You know, I met with a seller a few months ago and he was doing about $4 million per year in gross. But when we dug in, he was making about negative a couple $100. Like, that's a really bad situation to be in if you don't know that's where you are. But if you know where you are every week or every month, then you can make better decisions and you don't have to wait until the end of the year and cross your fingers and hope for profitability. So really love it, Nathan. So I know we're coming to the end of our time together, but let's talk a little bit about this outsourcing thing, because almost every Amazon seller has too much work to do. And if they're hiring local or they're hiring that college kid from the local campus, it's a little tough, like you said. So how do we find somebody great that's a VA that, you've done this time and time again? What do we do here? What are we looking for? How do we do it? Where do we find them? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So to kind of start off, just the overall mentality, you can't do everything yourself, right? There's very few 7 or 8 figure entrepreneurs that are just running the business by themselves. It just doesn't happen. And you're never going to hire at exactly the right moment. You're either going to hire too early or you're going to hire too late. And when you're a young entrepreneur, you're kind of like, hey, I'll hire too late because I'll make more money if I delay hiring as long as possible. And as you become more veteran, you realize that's silly. There's a massive opportunity cost if you hire too late, and hiring early is way better. So you always want to be thinking, what is your next hire? What are you going to hire next quarter, next year? And really kind of get ahead of the game. And it also just takes time to hire people. If you need someone in a week, it might take you 3 weeks to hire them, and all of a sudden you've hired someone too late. So that's kind of the beginning. I love hiring from the Philippines. They speak English at a high level. They're all about family, which we try to build in our business. Hardworking, we're used to U.S. hours, and there's plenty of talented people in other places. But what you don't want to do, especially early on, is hire 2 people from the Philippines, 2 people from India, 2 people from Pakistan. You're just adding a lot of extra work to your plate. They work different time zones. They have different cultures. They have different communication styles. So pick one place to start. And if you're going to pick one place, Philippines is a great place to start. And for us, we focus on interviewing and onboarding. We call it CARE and SICK. CARE stands for communication, attitude, red flags, and experience. We're looking for virtual assistants that have all 3: communication, attitude, and experience. And during the interview process, we're not looking for the right answers. We're looking for the wrong answers. What is this person saying that shows me they don't have the communication I need? They don't have the right attitude. They don't have the experience. That's what the red flags are. What are the red flags? And when those come up, we need to dig into them before we move any further in the interview process. And when you find that trifecta of skill, attitude, and communication, that's where the onboarding is so important. And entrepreneurs, sellers, that they miss this step. And this leads to all the horror stories that you probably hear of the VAs disappearing and having personal issues and their laptop breaks. We go through SICK, SICC, which is schedule, issues, communication, and culture. And we're going to go through the schedule. Have they worked that schedule before? Or are they trying it for the first time? Do they understand that there will be no schedule changes? Or maybe they will be, depending on your business. But you're going to set expectations with schedule. With issues, we go through the common issues that people have with VAs. They can't be one personal issue away from not being able to work. They can't have their laptop break and then not be able to work for 2 months because it's in the shop. They need a backup. They need a backup power. They need backup internet, somewhere they can go to work. If they lose power for a week, they're not skipping work for a week. They're going someplace with power, with internet to work. And we're setting these expectations. We're going through how they communicate, the culture they're getting into, and then we're giving them a chance to back out. We'd much rather they back out and say, hey, your expectations are too high. I can't do that. I've rethought the job, than to take the job only to 2 months later have something that comes up. And those initial hires, which we talked about 15 minutes ago, are so key in your business, because if you make those initial hires well and they become leaders in your company and they believe in CARE and they believe in SICK, when someone gets started in the company, it's not you enforcing it, it's the veterans in your company enforcing it, and they're not going to put up with it. Hey, your internet's out, where are you going to work? Hey, you had a personal issue? That's fine. How much time off do you need? When's the exact time that you'll be back? And they're not putting up with a lot of the issues that people have with VAs.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Where would you suggest people go to find the talent? Any treasure troves?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. We still use FreeUp. OnlineJobs.ph is great. Upwork, Fiverr. There's no shortage of places to find VAs. Now there's Facebook groups of virtual assistants that you can go in and post a job. But really focus on your interview process first. It should be the first process you build in your company. And then you can try different places for different things. You might find that you're having more luck on Upwork. You're having more luck on OnlineJobs.ph or FreeUp. But you're only going to find that out if you have that good process. What you want to avoid is hey, I posted a job on Upwork, I made a bad hire, Upwork's terrible, don't ever use Upwork. It's usually not Upwork, it's your hiring process.
I love it. So Nathan, we're going to move on to the last part of our show here. But before we do, I wanted to just give you an opportunity to kind of give away some content from each one of your businesses, because they're so interesting, because they touch the core of every business, right? Like you said, you're looking at the big issues and saying, where can we step in? So what do we have from Outsource School that could help somebody maybe make a better hire? Do you have anything?
Yeah, so we actually have an exit blueprint we just came out with. If you go to outsourceschool.com/exit, and it's pretty much how we set up our business to be sellable from day one. And obviously a big part of that is team and structure and team leaders and SOPs and all the stuff that goes into hiring. So if you go to outsourceschool.com/exit, it's pretty much everything that we did to set it up, and also everything that we learned going through the due diligence process of what people care about, what people look for, and how we're able to get through that very stressful time.
Okay, and then let's talk about EcomBalance. So if you're an Amazon seller and you don't have a good handle on your books, or if you're running any business online, if you don't understand your profitability and if you don't have good books, first of all, you probably aren't going to manage it very effectively. And then secondly, it's going to be really hard to sell that business. So I know that you have really cool resources with EcomBalance. Anything in particular you want to highlight?
Yeah, so ecombalance.com/agenda is that monthly finance agenda that we talked about, and ecombalance.com/report. That is what your monthly report should look like. Hopefully you use EcomBalance. Even if you don't, show that report to your bookkeeper. That is a clean report made by an e-commerce bookkeeper with 30 years of experience who is a seller herself. It's clean. Your CPA is going to love it. It's going to be, most importantly, you as a seller, not as a bookkeeper, are going to be able to understand it and make decisions on it.
Great. And then lastly, if we're going to build up our SEO. I'm assuming that you can work on SEO on blogs, but also maybe Shopify stores, or you can help get more traffic in an organic way to a web property, right? So what do we have there that maybe would be a good resource for people to check out?
Yeah, so we have all our SEO SOPs. If you go to trioseo.com/SOP, and then we have a case study on how we grew at the SEO for free up from year 1 to 4. If you go to trioseo.com/free up.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Nathan, at the end of our show, we always ask 2 fun questions. The first question is, what is your all-time favorite business book? And it looks like you have several behind you, so I'm sure you have 1 or 2 that you can highlight here.
Yeah. Anything from Tim Ferriss, I'm a sucker for. I listen to his podcast every day when I'm working out. Not the 5-Hour Workweek, which is obviously his most popular one. The Tools of Titans just has a lot of great stuff from different people. I always try to consume information from a lot of different people, and whether you care about health, wealth, business, whatever, it's one of those books that sure you can read it straight through, but you can also just pick it up on a random day and apply something to your everyday life.
Yeah, I've got that one sitting on my shelf over there, and it has like a million sticky notes on different pages, right? Just like highlighting this idea and that idea. So that's a really good one. So our last question, which is fun, is you had an exit, you cashed in, you won the game of business essentially, and now you're starting again with a fresh start. But maybe there was something in there that you bought that was a splurge. It could be as simple as a ping pong table, or it could be a car or a house or whatever it is. Sometimes spending money is actually really fun. Sometimes it's not. But what are some of those fun things that maybe stand out to you? Hey, when I spent the money on this, it was really worth it.
Yeah, 2 things. I mean, we were able to buy a second house in Colorado, so that's where I live now, and we were able to rent out our condo in Florida. And then more importantly, we were able to become foster parents for teens. So I just had a kid now. Before that, for the past few years, we were able to have foster teens in our house. And I think sometimes you take things for granted. I mean, I didn't grow up rich. My parents were teachers, but I grew up with food on the table and loving parents. And I was able to play sports and do after school activities and a lot of stuff that people around the world don't have opportunities to. So it's been a lot of fun just be able to use not only the money from the exit, but just the time that I now have from the exit to kind of give back in that way and offer up our home to foster teens.
I love it, Nathan. You're definitely a giver. You can tell that in your content, but you can also tell it in how you're living your life. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have you back in the future because it feels like we're just scratching the surface on all the stuff that you're up to with Connor. Give him a shout out too. We'd love to have him on in the future as well.
Yeah, thanks. That sounds like fun, and looking forward to a fun year ahead working with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nathan, as we wrap this up, is there any place that people should go to find out more about you in particular? LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever?
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on other channels too, TikTok, Twitter, all that, but I post content once a day on LinkedIn. Start there.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, Nathan. This has been another episode of the Post Purchase Podcast. We'll see you guys all soon.